Hello and welcome to the Portground Statement. I had a script for this, and frankly, I would like to at least get to the outline. But maybe it's best I just ad lib it. Welcome to the Portground Statement. So, I took time to sort of digest what's going on. And in that time, I can't even tell you the amount of subsequent information that has come. But let me start off with the most important thing that I can unpack for you. The Alex Pretti murder was a premeditated execution. It is the King-style execution that I've been going on about. See, it's a murder under color of law political assassination program. What probably transpired is they had created a character profile for an identified target. Pretti was a army medic, ICU nurse that had a high degree of likelihood for being aware of the more disgusting things that I'm trying to draw attention to. And so he was identified as an individual that would likely come to aid, right? So they orchestrate the push on the woman. He comes to aid, so that's the pretext by which they engage with the target. Then the officer sees the gun, confirms the presence of the gun, gets the green light, and they execute him. Because that's the pretense of the color of law, is the presence of the gun. So all that what they were told to do was to confirm the presence of the gun and shoot him. So establish contact with the target using some type of baited altercation, something to bait him into contact with the Fed thugs, and then establish that the weapon was on him to make sure you didn't shoot him without the weapon. And then once the weapon's on him, that was the green light. Then the figuring was, we can frame this as, defending ourselves no matter what. He's got a gun on us. That was the predication for the execution. Now, how I know this is because I have faced this about 4 times, where the goal is to create a pretext under which you can be executed and they can be blameless. And so, this is the case of Josh Conan is actually the same thing. They're using sublethal cyanide in that case, where they're going to dose someone with amygdalin or another cyanide prodrug, then they're going to bait the altercation, and then the officer or another individual who is restraining them will accidentally on purpose cause temporary smothering or asphyxiation, which only takes 10 to 20 seconds with sublethal sublethal cyanide. So the idea is that they don't die from the cyanide, they die from the asphyxiation, but the asphyxiation becomes super easy with the cyanide. And because cyanide's never tested for in any normal autopsy, and because a lot of, especially locally, the coroners and medical examiners are complicit or intimidated, so, and then as soon as you do embalming or cremation, the evidence is essentially gone. Now, you had a really talented analytical chemist who could actually start to prove the elevated presence of residual cyanide, and then you could also prove the presence of elevated cyanide moieties, but you'd have to have a large number of samples to prove the range. So you'd be essentially testing it kind of like you test like urinalysis, something like that, establishing the typical range of the cyanomoiety in the post-cremation material or in a cadaver based on distance from or time from death, and you could prove the cyanide presence, but you'd have to do a lot of science that's going to be obstructed the entire way. It's better to just not die from the cyanide. And so it has this weird, bitter, sweet smell. When you smell something like that weird, and you know about the tie between the Epstein shit and Port Huron, then stay away from the police. But the other thing, too, is be conscious of anything like that. I mean, he has the right to carry that gun, right? And so this is... I'm not going to go into all the different ways that murder under color of law was tried to be used against me and all the different... But I will over time, is I guess the point, is that I'm increasing the pressure in order to achieve the primary goal, which is, again, to realize Alyssa Martin out from underneath this. I can live with her not being with me. I can live with her life being controlled by a bunch of fucking pedophiles that use medical devices to poison people, make them sick, and also deploy these frequency weapons. So the idea is that they're using directed energy devices concealed in medical devices to influence you psychologically. This is not hearsay. This is an established fact. Again, I'm going to be posting more and more about this if we can keep being stupid. And so I was just given a PPO about this, which is interesting because there's no contact. But that gives me the opportunity to submit into the local courts exactly what I'm talking about. So this is an opportunity for me, and I appreciate that. I was really kind of on the fence over how to establish or to initiate, giving the courts this shit locally. It'll actually greatly strengthen the overall case because it will be a kangaroo court, and so the overall the GTC element, which is an interesting angle, but at the same time we're way past that. It's the RICO angle. So it's really about how many pronouns do we want to include, because right now the hashes are set up so that, like, they only know pronouns, right? They just effectuated a major arrest in Florida related to information that I have supplied them. What happens when I start giving them the proper nouns? That's really smart, giving me a PPO. I'm not going to give them all of this shit I have so much. The only thing that protects Sheldon Medical and Tim Sheldon, the creepy pedophile that's been... He's in the Panama Papers. So this asshole has been embezzling money and laundering it through Panama for, decades. He's been fucking stealing from you. And he has been exploiting your children and then using them to create leverage over other people. And then he's been creating leverage over you in the same mechanisms. So when you smile and shake his hand, remember that all of his power comes from fucking your kids and twisting that into leverage against powerful people. North Fox Island. I mean, and it's interesting because, this is so far from a bluff. It's a gift. I'm giving a gift, really, in exchange for just being smart and no collateral damage because I care for Alyssa, but I'm not trying to possess her as you are. So, all of this absurdity, all of it has only incriminated you. And now we're at a point where, multiple of the things I've said on here have been confirmed by recent declassified documents. So to pretend like I don't have A1 sourcing is insane. 2, I've literally mentioned the exact scheme that was executed on Alex Pretti multiple times in the course of the past 18 months on this podcast because my sourcing is A1. I have the only reason because this is another thing too. I don't... the only reason I'm not dead, like Alex Pretti, because I would have responded in the exact same way. And that's the exact person that they're trying to target too. They're trying to find people that have high access to information and the empathy and the will and the intellectual and personal strength to say, fuck you, you know, I'm not going to let your goon shit bullshit deprive me of my humanity. And so they orchestrated a situation in where they could contrive his humanity as though it was threatening so they could shoot him. And this is again the patterned king, murder under color of law concept. It is the George Floyd. George Floyd is the cyanide, the sublethal cyanide, and they'll put the cyanide in opioids as well, you know, to guarantee death, and then the opioids become an easy excuse. The good one too, because notice, these aren't random people. These aren't people that have histories of violence or anything. These are people that have a high probability of knowledge of Donald Trump's direct orchestration of an enormous child sex trafficking ring, directly integrated with the Sheldon Medical, Tim Sheldon psychotronic medical device fuck game. They will target your relatives that are sick, and what they're going to do is manipulate frequencies where they'll make them like joyful, then frequencies that make them suspicious. So, you know, let's say you're the grandkid, you go in and see grandma, she's been sick, and they're going to manipulate a frequency that makes her angry at you and suspicious of you. And then they bring in the CIA pastor, you know, so that the ICE guy, the ICE pastor in Minnesota, this is what this is about. So then they place these pastors and they come in there and they will induce a feeling of trust and joy and laughter, and they will tell this elderly person on their deathbed that they have just given some relief, some happiness and everything, and they're going to induce this misery and this anger in every other moment except for when these people that are manipulating your elderly relatives are present. And then they're like, oh, it's too bad your grandkids or whoever is going to get the inheritance. Too bad they're possessed by demons. But guess what? We'll be the liaison, and we'll like deliver them from their demonic possession. Just sign us over your inheritance, and we'll like make sure to, you know, curate it so that demons don't get it. And somehow it seems like most of those grandkids end up being sex trafficked. I wonder what the real motivation is. And then they always just profit off the house in the way that they utilize it, essentially to house people that are complicit and then to kick them out when they're not. It is another one of these concepts is leveraging using housing insecurity. So by manufacturing housing insecurity, they can increase the likelihood that they can enforce obedience, right? And they want to enforce obedience in children so that they can force them to engage in sexual acts with adults so that they can then use that recording as kompromat, so leverage against the adults. And then they use the sexualization to damage the intellectual and identity development of the kid. Now, it's not the sexualization, it's the combination of all of these manipulations, right? It's the fact that nothing in their life is real. It's all contrived to manipulate them so that they can be used as an object in a game of leveraging with a bunch of people they don't even know. So that's what's going on in Port Huron. There's a ton of other shit I need to mention, but I feel like that can pretty much just do it for right now. There's so many different financial things I want to bring up. Let's look at the freaking notes I had. Jangling, interpretation. Oh yeah, you know, all these jackasses that are intentionally... Alright, that's what I want to say. Oh, this one is important. Okay, so when someone goes on television or online right now and they say, I haven't seen all the angles, the facts from that audience, so I just like to wait until the investigation before because that would be unprofessional. What that's literally saying is, I am interested in being bribed in order to pretend like my opinion is not what's obviously on this screen right now. So if you want to contact me and pay me the right amount of money, the next time I'm on this television, I'll pretend like that wasn't an execution. That is literally what those people are doing. All those people are like, well, I need to see another angle. Oh, the know the investigation. That is a person that is saying, hey, Donald Trump, if you pay me enough money, if you bribe me, I will pretend like I didn't just witness an execution. That is the dog whistle, and I'm going to start going through every single one of them. If, what? Simple things. I think we know what. Tim, look up the Sheldon doing one. Because that blows my mind. With just pronouns, they got to that guy. That's interesting. Have fun.